G'day, I'm Ben from Cash Pro Australia, and this is Lawn Care Skull Sessions with my co-host, the bearded lawnsman, BJ.
What's cracking?
Bit of everything.
Well, sorry about last week, man, but nobody wants that shit. The old vid was in my household again, and that's why there were no podcasts last week.
And people thought we were putting our tails between our legs because of controversy.
Get fucked.
Funny enough that people were, I looked at the podcast analytics, and even though we had no episode, it still showed just as many people tuned in.
Yeah. Must have been people down for the controversy, went back through the old archives to see if there was any more back there that was missed, but
yeah.
No, man, it was pretty good. We even got some ratings, which was good.
It didn't feel like we had a week off.
No, it didn't. No, it's been pretty hectic because with my daughter, my daughter with disabilities, we just, no matter what anyone thinks about COVID, fucking a common, virus put her in hospital for 3 weeks. So we don't want to fuck with COVID. So I was basically downstairs with her the whole time. And so I was like, I was kind of lucky because Chloe went on a year 6 camp. So I had no Chloe for 3 days. Lou and Archie both went down like James Brown. And Ella and I stayed strong, and I just was up and down sending her to school. And lucky that my new fella that I've got working for me he's fucking on the ball straight away. So he was right for a couple of hours before I could get to him. So all kind of worked out. Everybody's on the mend. Archie was just like, COVID, what the fuck is that? Lou was not so lucky. She's still a bit cooked. So.
And good on you for not getting it. That's the second time COVID's been in your household.
Yeah. I don't know how. I was sharing, like, Lou and I, the day before she tested positive, we were sharing drinks and stuff.
And body fluids.
Yeah, probably. I was trying. But.
I had no chance because I remember we had Nelly home, like she had it apparently. And yeah, I can't remember if I said it last time, but we were like playing Scrabble. And she's got the bloody little Scrabble letters in her mouth. Like, just...
Well, I was looking after Archie for the first... Like, when Lou went down originally, I was looking after Archer. And because, like, obviously you can't keep a 2-year-old away from mum, he's like... fucked, kicking down doors and shit. So, another interesting thing that's happened in the last week is my little man, he can now scale out of the cot and come in to our bedroom at, like... 1:15 in the morning and scare us like a fucking horror movie.
Like my kids.
But he was like silent like a ninja, and then he got next to the bed with pitch dark. I don't know. He must have like echolocation or some shit like a bat. But he come in the bedroom. He's just like, "Mommy!" I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, I know Lou panicked as well. It was just like, "Holy shit! How did you get here?" Fucking magician.
The joys of fatherhood.
Oh.
Yeah, well, hey, on that topic, I've been a parent for a decade now.
Yeah, happy birthday, twinners.
Twins turned 10.
Yeah.
So, anyway, into business stuff, mate. So, we got a new review. We might just get that out
this is another 5-star as usual. It is from Lifestyle Horticultural Services, and his name is Dan. Thanks, Dan. He just said, "Great job. Just jumped on the Skull Sessions over the last month. Big fan of the content and banter. Keep it up, Ben and BJ. Also have the boys listening to it with Jado's, the young apprentice, putting a bow on every job. I can look out. Very nice.
Can't believe he's new to it. Where you been, mate?
Yeah, where you been, mate?
Thanks for the review, though.
That's good, man. Horticultural Services. I wonder if he's a bit more of a landscaper than a lawnie.
Yeah.
Or a gardener. I don't know.
Yeah, softscaper.
Tis what it is.
Softscaper. That's what I used to call myself. Because I couldn't get into all the structural stuff. But, all your mulches and, stuff like that. So softscapes.
Softscapes.
Instead of hardscapes.
Fair enough.
So anyway, look, we had lots of topic suggestions.
Yes.
Some of the stuff we kind of covered.
That was a big episode. It was a long episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was like an hour and a half or something, maybe a bit more.
That's about unusual.
Yeah, about unusual. But we've seen some controversy on the length of our episodes. They're too long. who wants to listen to these fucking gibberish for 3 hours?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, okay, so we'll get into the topic. Do we want to touch on anything first, or?
Oh, we can touch on a few things.
So I saw a comment, and this is all social media based and, stuff like that. And people just, some people out there, man, they dissed us pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah, they fucking did.
And, I mean, I just seeing some of the I don't have an actual problem with any of the comments, but I guess sometimes what I have a problem with is, like, if someone puts a comment on there and then the way that everyone else sees it, you know what I mean? Like, and you're wondering how...
The assumptions just roll
Yeah,
in.
you're wondering how they perceive it. And like, you and I, we see stuff and, we all interpret things differently. So
the amount of comments that I walk past and just say, yeah, fuck it, it's not worth it.
Me? Nah, so much.
Nah, not so much you.
It's alright, but hey, look.
That's it. We're different people, man. I walk past a few just to, like, to save the peace, whatever. People obviously, like...
But I also, too, like, I have gotten better.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
But anyway, look, I just wanted to get your take. Like, I saw a comment saying, Ben and BJ with the Skull Sessions, what sort of businesses can they possibly be running if they are sitting here for 2 to 3 hours with this mess? Now, how do you respond to that, or how did you interpret that?
I just fucking... That's one of the one I crept past because... What the fuck? Like, we literally sacrifice time with our families to do these podcasts because the majority of people that we have listening, I don't know so much now, we might have like 50-50 Haterville, but
No, like I said, our stats have gone up.
Yeah, fuck, who cares? Who's listening? Keep listening.
I think we have a pretty strong core of followers or
Yeah.
whatever, but all the extras that are getting amongst it right now, to tune in to see what we're going to say. Every download is just ticking the algorithm over for us.
Thanks, boys and girls.
Controversy does create cash, mate.
It does. But no, it was a bit of a disappointing comment because that's an assumption that we do it on work time. Like, people don't know the fucking businesses we run. People get glimpses of what we do and what we've done in the past, and we throw... our opinions at each other and at the audience, and it's up to them whether to take it or not. But the time thing is just like, I got the weekend. I could be doing it on the weekend. How do you know what I'm doing on the weekend? I could be doing it after I'm finished work, which is what we do. I do my work.
But it's incredibly, I think it's easy for someone to sit there and say it.
100%.
But I don't know whether they really think that or, but...
They just want to be part of the conversation. They fucking felt left out.
I mean, I think more to the point as well, like, sometimes my wife has to take the kids out, or sometimes, we have to shoot and then go back to work. That's what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts in there that I don't think everyone understands.
Let's be real about it. We ain't fucking making cash monies out of this. Like, this is like all the prizes that you've put up have probably put us on the back foot, really.
Yeah, but I mean, look,
it's not about the money.
I'm not complaining. Yeah, I mean, look, we've come to terms now.
We're fucking 70. This is number 76. I'm pretty sure. We ain't fucking making $1 million out of this. Like, we're lucky. We're probably not even covering our coffees every week. So, it is what it is, man. Like, I'm just enjoying the positive side of the podcast. So,
and the positive side is hey, we get to hang out. We get to interact with like-minded people.
This is like my social time. Like, my wife and your wife will go out for coffee. We come here and we have fucking coffee and talk a bunch of shit.
That's it. Yeah. Now, I saw another comment about, the whole show being so, we just sit here and we plug our brands, etc., etc. I mean, I have my own take on it. Yeah. But, what... Because to me, it's just ridiculousness that someone would even mention that, because number one, Muscle Beard Australia and Bad Workwear Australia, thank you to our sponsors, they're our sponsors, so we actually have to plug them, right?
It just is ridiculous not to.
And then You're the Skag Ambassador of Australia.
G'day.
So it is your job to promote the brand, right?
Exactly.
And then our other mates like Ego, Bushranger, and
Everyone.
is there another one? Oh, Cox Mowers.
Yeah.
They've been huge supporters of Catch Pro, but not only that, TBL Property Maintenance to some extent. Now, not every brand, but you know, there's brands in there that have been. You know, you met up with some of the Aussie guys in Australia, or in America.
In the US, I met up with Paul Sheehan and Baz from Ego. Ben Gripsky was there. It's like fucking just It's
so it makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense if we just
to talk about the brands that support us.
That's exactly right. And most of the stuff I use, so it's easy to talk to people about.
And not only that too. Like, what do we got? Hey, see here, Walker. You know, like the rep reached out to give us this for the Skull Sessions, and the guys over at Briggs gave us this awesome little retro Victor. I guess.
Opener.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, it's a ball opener.
Oh man,
you normally have to buy a mold to fucking get one of them.
I actually had a beer the other day, right?
Did you?
And like I just didn't even realise that was a bottle opener. And I'm upstairs on the kitchen bench, just full smashing it, just trying to pop the lid, just lost me touch.
What about your lighter? Aren't you like boo?
Oh, my hands just aren't that great. Like, I just, you know, but anyway, I'm just sitting there, waiting for Vicky to turn the corner into the laundry, and just on the kitchen bench, just.
Oh fuck.
So, yeah, man, there was only one more topic that I sort of, or at least one more comment that I wanted to touch on, just to get your vibe from it, or, you know, if you wanted to answer back, or at least, you know, give us your thoughts.
Shoot.
Was on the Skull Sessions itself, and, you know, surrounded by professionalism and all of these other comments, but well, I don't know if you saw any of those comments, but like, what's your take on it, pal? Because we've been pretty upfront.
Did we ever say that we were the pinnacle of the industry? I'm pretty sure we've left that out on every single fucking episode that we've done. We've never said that we do everything the right way. We never said that we do anything the right way. we literally just have taken our experiences and things that we've sort of gone through and learnt as our businesses have progressed, and given it to the audience.
And that's the way I feel too. Like,
it's so bizarre.
I mean, you're running 4 employees. At my biggest point, I had 4.
Yeah.
We might have gotten a little bit bigger where we had a few stragglers. But, you know, you and I, we never claimed to be Mr. Successful.
No.
Or Mr. Know-It-All. The point of the Skull Sessions podcast is to have a general discussion.
Yep. Have some fun.
In a non-political and professional environment, I think.
Yeah.
Where we can talk about experiences with hindsight.
Yeah.
And be able to give back to some of the people who it doesn't really matter what stage of business you're in.
That's exactly right. Now, we get people reaching out, especially people that have just started their business, thanking us all the time for the information that we're posting up. Because we've both had different experience. You were back in the fucking old school days where there was no internet, no fucking, like, tons of shit was missing that I had the privilege of having. So, you know, we've both had different starts, and, you know, we've both similar directions. Mine's a little bit different. Like, I've got multiple villages now. You had a few, but that's all I'm kind of focusing on now. You still had a heap of acreage and things like that, heaps commercial. I don't know. It's a bit disheartening because most of the people making comments, are they even fucking listening? I told a story where I got bit by a fucking spider and shit my pants. Like, we're not trying to be fucking the most professional podcast in Australia. That's not us. We fuck around. We fuck around when we're not on camera. So.
And we'd probably leave that to Gary Ashton, right?
Yeah, Gary can fucking take care of that.
And also, that's what we actually love about the All Stars podcast. Is that he handles the business side,
Yeah.
and the little bit more serious side, and we handle the more not street smart, but it is kind of that street smart approach,
Just
and the
different.
real hustle approach.
Yeah.
You know, someone can go to uni and someone can do all these business courses and someone can have the best values and opinions ever. But sometimes if, like, you just need to pick up a fucking tool and go to work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had a similar scenario on Sunday. I knew I was going to be really busy, and all of a sudden I found out that my kids were going away for the day. And I said to Vic, I'm just going to start hooking into the orders. And we just have stuff, we have stock everywhere. Nothing is organised, and it's very different for me, right? And I just had so many orders, and I remember getting to a point, I only spent about 5 minutes just kind of, you know, looking around and thinking like, geez, you know, right. And I just got to a point where I actually said the words out loud, I just need to pick up something and start somewhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think sometimes, you know, that's the approach that we're sort of trying to get across.
Yeah.
It's great to think, it's great to have, you know, be aware of, you know, of everything and take calculated risks and everything, but sometimes you just have to put your fucking pants on and go to work.
Yeah. Because the more time you sit around thinking of what you could be doing, you're not out there doing what you should be doing. You're not making money, so you can make those things that you want to happen.
Don't end up like Russell, where it's gotten to a point where he walks through a doorway and he fucking sits there and analyzes it for 6.5 minutes and goes, there has to be a fucking easier way to open up this door.
He does. Analyze it, yeah.
Don't always process so much. I think it's good to have, it's one extreme to another, right?
Yeah. I think the best place to think about business is while you're doing business, like, especially in our industry, it's very much like you plug your tunes in, you plug your podcasts in, and you can kind of, and fucking don't just stop at like Lawn Care Skull Sessions and Aussie Lawn Stars. They're fucking business podcasts for years out there. So you can if you think of something that you might want to do in the future, just plug them in and try and absorb as much as you can.
Yeah, and so that does take us to today's topic. Now, what we're going to talk about is setting goals in your business. Now, we're kind of going to talk about some of this goal setting genre, along with some, you know, maybe hindsight 2020 stuff that you and I can look back on our businesses and say, okay, maybe we fucked up here, or maybe that wasn't the best decision. And just tie it all in with setting achievable goals to help you, you know, find success. And, you know, it is true, like, everyone's definition of success is different. That's why this topic is so hard.
That's 100% right, and that goes back to the comments about how can they run a successful business. And I was like, well, what kind of fucking business am I? Is my business being measured off your business, or is your business being measured off mine? Or are we measuring it off some fucking guy down the road? Or
well, you're just being measured of the fact that you can shoot a podcast during the week.
What a piece of shit.
So
that's literally all I do.
I mean, hey, it's the same as let's say someone like Brian Fullerton.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, how does this dude run a mowing business? He's got a young family now. He does 3 or 4 episodes a week on the Fullerton Unfiltered. He also has the Lawntrepreneur Academy.
Yep.
And some other shit that he does. And I think you can actually go back into the archives. We asked him that on the podcast. And he said, you know, hey, I just do it at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know, babies are asleep. And
he'll be doing videos and stuff. And look, you know, the time that we take to do the podcast, it isn't just these couple of hours that we spend together. It's all the after work as well. So it's
well, I don't do much afterwards, but I do a little bit before.
Yeah, you do most of the pre.
I do the pre stuff.
There's not much on the paper.
No, but I think about it.
Well, that's exactly, that's it. Yeah, well, that's it. What, do you do it while you're working?
No, I
When
usually
you just sit there and just zone out?
look. Sometimes when I'm listening to other podcasts, certain things pop up in my mind. Other times I do have people physically reaching out and saying like, "Hey, I'd love to hear more about this."
Yeah.
So it's a mix of everything, but usually I take 5 or 10 minutes somewhere
Yeah.
and think to myself, I just need to focus on this. Once we got a topic, we can run with it.
Yeah. Congratulations to all the wieners from the last podcast too. I think we've got everyone except for. I think we've got everyone's details.
I think there's one dude.
G'day. What's his name?
Yeah, actually, he may have reached out. So
G'day Cobber. That's it.
yeah, and one dude, Michael, he's made a purchase through Catch Pro that's on pre-order, so
Oh,
we're just going to
sweet.
send it together.
Awesome.
And the other ones are based. I think they're out in the mail.
Yeah, nice. Once again, thank you to Skag for putting in, and Benny actually put up the bad workwear, so thanks, Benny. Scott was so happy. It was fucking, he was cheering. So,
Yeah,
very,
nice.
very thankful.
All right, man. So, look, when we're talking about setting goals, obviously, this is usually a step process.
Yep.
And you usually have an ultimate goal.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate goal, we'll get your thoughts on it, is to basically, I mean, you want to be successful, but at the same time, the goal that usually people would talk about is, I just still want to be in business, or I
Yeah.
don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's not like I'm super spiritual, but I just reckon like I just want to stay afloat, or I just want to be alive, or I just want to, and I'm talking business wise.
Yeah.
It kind of does set a little bit of that negative energy.
Yeah.
Like
I
if
feel
you're talking
it.
about setting goals, it's all about being positive and getting better every day.
Yeah. I don't know how you go about setting your goals, but I always break them down into different categories because that's just how my brain works, because everyone's different. I'll normally set like a big goal.
Oh, usually.
I usually set my goals. No, but like it's hard to prioritize them in my head sometimes, because I'll set like the money, like what I want to make this month, and then what I want to make this quarter, and then what I want to make, so on and so forth. But then I've got, my maintenance goals, like I want to make sure everything's maintained in this fucking thing, and blah, blah, and then family, and then time for myself, which is fucking non-existent. But like all my life, like I break down each week. I'm like, oh, what do I want to get done this week? And like in my head, I'm not like, oh, I'm planning these goals, but that's kind of what it is. It is like planning ahead, really.
Yeah, and I think like if we're talking about someone who is in the first 12 months of their business, I think, like setting achievable goals might be something like, in the first 3 months of business, I want to be able to turn over, let's say 2,000 to 2,500 a week in total revenue. And I think, in a franchise situation, that would be a goal that I believe would be set virtually on the first day.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a really good chance of getting there within that first quarter. For an independent, if you are not buying a run, and we're talking about any sort of revenue goals, I think breaking that down to more of like a, every day I want to turn over, say, $300 to $400.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably a goal. I think even if you start from scratch, that's a good, reasonable goal to start.
And I've had those goals before, which was really, it was pretty. It's weird to think about where I was, 6-7 years ago, and I'm like, fuck, that don't even pop into my head anymore.
Because it's not like someone would start up a lawn mowing business and say, my goal is to make $150 a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I think if you're looking at those sorts of anyone who's new in the industry that's listening to this, around, obviously you probably want to be making about 600 a day.
Yeah.
But
nowadays, back in the day, I think I started at like 300, and then it went to 400 and 500, and then it's up there now. Like, wages are fucking really expensive.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, with Catch Pro, I think I might have even talked about it, but I had said, if I can sell, this is when I was mowing, I was like, if I can sell 2 or 3 Catch Pros a week, that's a really good kicker for me.
Yeah.
And then it just, went to like, well, I want to sell one every day. And then, we got to a certain point where it's like, I never want to do less than this in total revenue in a month.
Yeah.
And now I've gotten to the point where literally for me, the sky is the limit, and like, I'm not content anymore. It's completely different in sales, but like, I've gotten to a point where like for a couple of months, we were just breaking our record. Mm-hmm. It obviously went a little bit quieter in winter, and it started to pick back up again, and we're, breaking records again. And now it's like, well, I don't need to put a ceiling on this.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
why can't I break it every month now?
And as much as it sounds cocky, my business is kind of the same. I think there's a few more pieces in the puzzle for my business and yours, because you are like, obviously you are going to have to fucking eventually get some help, or he's saying no. He wants to be the next Corey Balla, but he wants to do it by himself.
Man, Corey, him and Lindsay did everything with one store person up until about probably 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And, I mean, even at our busiest, craziest period, we wouldn't even be touching their slowest day.
Really?
So
that's
not
good.
Even close.
That's good.
Not even close to what I'm probably capable of doing. But
with my business, it seems like it's not anything to do with like me. It's finding the right staff to put in the right place, and that, as everyone knows, is probably one of the hardest things to do. I've been pretty lucky, I think.
All right, so can we just quickly, just while you've just said that, something's popped into my head. Can we just talk about a little bit of hindsight and maybe relay this to any goals that you may have? So obviously solo operators usually start a business. They usually get to a point where it's like, one of my goals is to put on my first employee, or it might be your second, whatever. And obviously this is a really tough subject. You and I, we've been through all sides of it. We know Luke Smith in WA, he's having a bastard of a time.
Yeah.
Some valued hindsight, something that I, really think, this is something that I found really tough, but becoming mates with your employees or not being tough on them, I just think it's an incredible mistake that I made time and time over again. I do remember hearing an episode with Luke Smith on Aussie Lawn Stars. It might have even been the second or first episode. And he was telling a story about how he would challenge them and really be a bastard in the first couple of days.
Yeah.
Now, I thought when I heard that was pretty harsh. But, since then, and obviously I don't employ any staff now, but I have only just gotten out of it. And, it's tough, but, it's kind of like the friend zone with like a chick. Not that any of us have been there at any time. It's been 20 years for me.
Yeah,
but
about the same for me.
But, once you kind of set that precedent, or at least, kind of put that label on it, it's really hard to get up someone when they're fucking up.
Yeah. Oh, I completely feel you, because I don't know, it's hard not to become friends with people that you're with more than you're with your family. And especially because when I go out to find staff, I find staff that I can sit in the car with for that long and put up with some of their faults, and obviously it comes with their their advantages as well. But I do completely understand that, and I feel like I've set boundaries. Like you can fuck around. Like I'm not the hardest boss in the world. You don't fuck around with safety, and you don't fuck around with my business. But we can definitely fuck around with each other. Like we can always have a bit of fun. But
and the customers.
Yeah, the customers.
You don't fuck with the customers.
Yeah, you don't fuck. Yeah, well, that's my business. So, it's just one of those things. Like there is boundaries being set. I think that I have fallen into that trap in the past, and I think now, like I've got a little bit of a boundary there. Not a huge amount. Like
I've just been a huge culprit of it. Like I know you get someone, you train them, you're with them all the time, like you said, and then you start sharing stories, and then it's all la-di-da, and then all of a sudden you get a text and it's like, hey man, I'm running 20 minutes late, I'll be there as soon as I can. And it's like, like that fucking really pisses me off. Like I'm sitting here fucking waiting for you, or whatever the case is, and it's like, once you go through all the la-di-da stuff, sometimes it's hard to kind of pull them up and be like, hey, you know what, man?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Especially if, they get there, like, hey, man, how's it going? Yeah, let's get into it today.
Oh, I'm really sorry, I'm late.
It's like, no, don't fucking talk to me like that. I'm pissed off at you.
Yeah.
So I think that was something, if you're talking about goals, hiring your first employees, that was just one thing that I found really tough.
It's the separation.
It's hard to find that balance between being a good boss and then, being a good business owner.
Yeah. Another thing that was hard was most people don't want, there's always exceptions out there, but most people that I've interviewed, they don't want part-time work, they don't want casual, they want full-time work. If they're any good, they want full-time work because they're hungry to earn, which is amazing. But when you're first starting out, it's really hard to find someone. It's really hard to have that work to go, boom, straight into full-time for you and have that just rolling all straight away. So
yeah, what can be really tough is when you get that employee and it's busy, it's summer, and it's like, hey, you have to be on time and I need you to learn it. I need you to be safe. I need you to do this and this.
Yep.
And then you get to May, yo, bro, stay home for a week, eh? I can't afford you.
Now
that is where it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
And I'm not sticking up for any offsiders necessarily, but it has to be a two-way street. And if you expect them to be up to standards, then you have to do the same thing as a boss and as an employer.
And to be honest, they're the kind of people I'll steal from you because fucking they want to work, you don't have the work, so there's always bigger fish out there ready to rock and roll. And that's what I've done. I stole Will, I stole Dion, and I stole my new guy. And I'm not going to fucking...
But you just inherited Rusty, right?
Yeah, I just inherited Rusty. Yeah. I'll walk up to a crew leader for Skyline and I'll say, what are you being paid? I'll fucking sort you out. Because the crew leader is responsible for 5 or 6 fucking guys out there that I don't know what their quality of work is like, but I know that the crew leader has made some sort of impact in that business to get to that point. And man, you'll walk up to him and be like, yeah, I'm on 20, 25 bucks an hour. I'll be like, fuck bro, come with me. I'll give you like 35. Let's do it. I'll be like, give me your number. Let's do this. I've got so many numbers in my phone that I can call now. And don't stop looking for good stuff, because if your business is rock and rolling, like you want to have those numbers in your phone, because if something comes along, you can just be like, boop, 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 fucking, hey man, I got this mad opportunity for you. And away you go. Completely fucking left field that one, but...
No, it's all good. So I just wanted to get back to the goals. And what I think is awesome about this process is it allows, like people have been talking about burnout and bits and pieces. Yep. And, we did an episode on this and we don't really want to do like another full one on it. But setting goals gives a business owner a really awesome opportunity to kind of hit the reset button and refresh.
Yep.
And as small business owners, we can do that whenever we want.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a New Year's resolution or, you know,
exactly.
things like that. Like you can just be like, no, I'm going in a different direction, or hey, I need to get back on track of what I was doing 3 months ago. And so that's where I think setting goals is just a really good way to monitor progression.
That's what I was going to say.
And not only monitor progression, but to motivate, self-motivate.
Oh my God, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, jizz it everywhere.
Let's fucking get it. But don't get demotivated if you don't reach those goals. You need to assess what went wrong or what went right. Maybe you fucking surpassed them. Like maybe like, oh shit, I really undersold myself. But either way, like just use them as a tool to assess your business, where you're at, you know, either mentally, physically, or fucking business-wise, and just try and adjust so you can crack them and smash them and move on. That's how I always find them. Like I've fucked up so much in my business.
Oh yeah.
I worked, mate. I could tell you, like, I don't know how much I want to go into it, but I had a fucking fat sack of cash when I first started in this business. By year 3, I was pretty skint. So by reevaluating everything, changing my mindset from the point where I made the decision to change everything. Actually, year 2, I fucked up. So yeah, after that, I made the decision to start, you know, changing my business, changing the way I did things, and it was just up from there. So, and even now, like I have roadblocks and shit like that. Like,
I mean, it always happens.
Goals don't get met.
But like, even when we're talking about equipment purchases, you know, some people might want to start getting into the acreage or rural game, and it's not like you can click your fingers and say, I want a 32 stand on, or I want a 52 sit down,
no,
or anything
exactly.
like that.
It'd be easier now than it would have been back in your day. The fucking finance options are everywhere now. But still, do you want to be, you know,
I think
sinking yourself into financial debt?
Look, I think a lot of the goals and decisions and things like that ultimately get made, I think a lot of the time they're just calculated risks.
Yeah.
They're just different levels of calculated risks. I think everything is.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, manageable debt is debt that makes you money. Like, it's like with all my machines, it's all manageable debt. It's all accounted for in my pricing and all that sort of stuff. So nothing even, I just fucking get it and forget it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know that one thing that I did in business was, you know, and this was before setups were even cool. Like, this was before trailer setups were even a thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I built my trailer setup around a 42-inch mile.
Yep.
And then it's like, fuck, 3 years later, man, I need a bigger rig.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, I had my trailer rebuilt. And then I think only maybe not even 12 months went by, and I was like, whoa, I have to rebuild this thing again because I need to be able to fit a 61 on here.
Lucky you know a guy who knows a guy, but...
And, you know, I think you can look back with hindsight and be like, you know, I wish I knew what I know now, or I wish, and don't get me wrong, you might not always have the capacity to just go out and rebuild a trailer, but the thing is that I did it 3 times.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, for new operators or anyone that has been in the game for a while and they're looking to do something similar, you know, I think it's good to be able to account for the growth.
Yeah.
Even if you are actually like 100% sure that you will never need it, or it's not a direction that you want to go. Sometimes, I mean, the amount of times that I sold off runs and fired people because I just didn't want to get any bigger, and then it just kept organically growing.
Yeah.
There's just opportunities just kept coming.
Never stops.
So, but what other sorts of goals in terms of, you know, maybe even paperwork side of things, or could be something as simple as, you know, your tax, your pay as you go.
Yeah, so I mean,
so it might be like for this quarter, I'm gonna make sure that I put away X amount every single week for my upcoming bass.
yeah. See, we don't really work. Our profit goes into a single account, so it's like a high interest account. So we, getting a bit off that now. We weren't before, but we're getting a little bit off it now. But our cash sits together. And, obviously my wife does the paperwork side of things, so that's all sweet. There's so many different grades of goals, like micro goals and the medium ones, and then the big ones. Like, I'd like to see my business grow by a minimum of 50% every year.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's been easy enough the last couple of years. I did like sort of like a 70% the year before last, and then this one I guess is like 100%.
Yep.
I did invest. I bought a business, so that's part and parcel. But still, my business is 100% making or bringing in 100% more than what it was last year. So, and it's good to have a good.
And personally, like when in terms of TBL property maintenance, you've got 4 people now and you're doing X amount of revenue per week. Are you looking to grow that double again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to. I know it's a hard task, but I think like making the connections that I have within like the industry that I aim at, like hopefully I can sort of grab some opportunities.
Big developers, eh?
Big developers, yeah. So having spoken to a lot of people and a lot of people seeing our work and things like that hopefully will help. But like if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's not the end of the world. I just need to set a more realistic goal for next year if it's not going to happen.
Now, a goal that I was never able to achieve almost ever was a holiday.
True.
There were, when I was a little bit younger, before I had kids, I would take off, I'd work up till New Year's.
Yeah.
And then on the 2nd of January, I'd go back. In later, and that was just because like we would just, all the boys that were doing apprenticeships or were in their trades, they would get 2 weeks off.
Yeah, I remember.
And they would just go surfing every day.
Yeah. So
I would just take a week. If I really wanted to, I could still hit a couple of lawns here and there. Like I had the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
But it was, but that was, geez, man, that was really the only time I ever took. And later on in life, when I had kids, it actually became less. It's not like I worked 8 hours a day through that period, but I always went to work every day through that period.
Yeah. I did 10 days last year over Christmas.
10 days off?
10 days off.
Yeah, nice.
So I worked it in with the public holidays and just made sure everybody who wanted to work was going to work and everyone who didn't want to work was, had their holidays.
What about poor Rusty? He was at the village doing the bins on Christmas Day.
Well,
actual Christmas Day.
Christmas Day is a Saturday this year or a Sunday, so he won't have to do that. But again, I'll just ask the question. If you want to do it, it's fine. If not, then I'll go and do it myself.
Yeah, well,
it's not.
Rusty actually lived with me at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like he could see like I had family, I had parties, and he just was just this dude.
Rusty just hanging.
And so, it made sense for him to go and get paid.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's another thing too, because my guys are all subbies. Like, if they want to get paid, then, go and do the thing. Obviously, there's a little bit of creaminess that comes with Christmas. They'll, get looked after, but at the end of the day, if they're not working, I'm not getting paid, and if I'm not working, I'm not getting paid. So, yeah, got to take the good with the bad.
Yep. So what about like in terms of day-to-day goals? Like, I have always thought one thing that I thought was smart. I always had this, and I don't know why really, but having like a set home time. It's to say like, okay. Yeah, and we see stories, people working till 5, people working till 6, and doing all sorts. And obviously, man, stuff happens, and other people, different people have different expectations of what they want to do. But in terms of your regular, it's like,
I would love to be able to have a regular home time. That, maybe I should put that as well, like have that as a goal moving forward. I'm just all over the place at the moment, just training and things like that. So
when I was a solo operator, I wanted to get home by 2:00 every day.
Yeah.
And I look back on that now and I think she's, but the way that I ran my business was I did all my driving before hours. So I went to, this is, when I was in the residential, well, maybe not necessarily.
No, you were still, when you were doing some of the villages, you were still, like I would be talking to you on the phone at like 6:15 or something.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like I always just got all my driving done in the morning and just worked my way back to my house.
Yeah.
And so at 10 to 7, I was fueling up, ready to hit that first job. In fact, the bulkiness of my actual work day was always done by about 11 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Because I just was horrible after I ate.
Yeah.
Like, I would eat and I'd be like, oh man, I need to I was literally like, man, I need a little friendship nap.
Yeah.
And then, by the time, you're fucking busy when you don't have time to either take a shit or have some food, right? Sometimes
you just can't stop that shit from coming.
Who was it yesterday who took a sturge in a bin?
That was Paul.
We should have made... I'm not making...
He's got crows, man, but...
I'm not making fun of it. I'm just...
Man, I'm fucking applauding it. He's got Crohn's disease, which, if you don't know, it's like a bowel thing. Like, it's fucked up. He's had a bunch of resections and stuff like that, but... good on you, bro. Like, I've taken a lot of fucking sneaky shits in my time.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so sidebar. So the other day, so I posted up on LMCA.
My words mean nothing.
Your words mean nothing to me. It's my goal not to listen to you anymore. I got this message from Will. He goes, he's just sending me a text. He goes, someone shit in the bird bath. I'm like, what the fuck? He's at one of my villages, and this bird bath is like in the open. Like, it's on the main strip in this village with about 10 streets of it. And he's like, someone shit in the bird bath. I'm like, no fucking way, man. Like, it's probably like a bat shit or something. He's like, send me a video of him like walking up to it with his fucking shirt over his face. He flips the camera and there's a fucking log of shit sitting in the bottom of this bird bath with like a smidge of water. And that's where we park our rig. Right next to that, I can only imagine the stank from that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, dude, are you sure it wasn't like dog shit or someone? Someone just lobbed a dog shit in there. He goes, no, that was people shit for sure. He goes, I tried to hose it out and it was just rumbling around in there like a washing machine.
That was like Russell. That was like Russell's at work, hey. If anyone who's actually watching, Russell did one in the work toilet and it was just like a really stiff log like this, and when you flush the toilet it was just going like this. It
was like one of those wacky inflatable fucking things that are outside of car yards. But my worker that day came up to me, Dion came up to me, he goes, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm alright, what's wrong? And he goes, no, seriously, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, dude, what's wrong? He goes, come with me. And he's taking me down to inspect this shit. And we were like, he's like, I've tried to fucking flush it like 4 times. It won't go anywhere. And I'm like, oh no. I flushed it just expecting it to cruise down. And it was just like, it was just like a fish was stuck in there. Like
it had a face.
It had a tail.
I'm like, not going anywhere.
But it looked like a fish was like a big brown fish was half stuck in the toilet, and its like tail was kicking with the water, and it was just incredible.
Can I tell you?
He said that's not even a big one.
Can I tell you a shit story?
Of course you can.
That didn't happen at work.
All right, tell me.
So like, I don't know how old we were. I reckon probably like 14 or 15, so pretty young.
This is going to be filthy.
And I don't know, there was maybe like 4 or 5 of us staying at a mate's house, and his mum was home. And I don't know who had the idea, but obviously it was like, take a sturgeon in an envelope. and everyone knows about like the lighting it up and getting people to stomp it out and everything. Well, we were just like, nah, let's just start graffitiing with it.
Oh, yuck.
And all I remember is like one of our mates, just with this log in an envelope, just putting up these like tags. It was so gross. And then obviously you needed to be able to go to the toilet. And so I remember like I couldn't, like, you know, but one of the dudes, like, we just heard all this screaming, and he was just sitting in the corner of the bathroom trying to like go to the toilet in this envelope, and the mums just walked straight in and just going, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" And by the time we got in there and looked at it, like he was in a squat position, not even over the toilet, and he had half of it in the envelope, and the other half was just hanging down on the tiles.
Oh no!
Anyway,
I feel like one of you pricks came to my I think it was my 17th birthday party, and we got up in the morning all hungover and shit, and my mum was like, "Fucking house stinks, like someone shit their pants or something," and like we couldn't find the stench anywhere. So back in the day, like I'd never heard of someone doing like a top deck. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Where people shit in the cistern and it just like constantly smells like shit.
Or like a reverse kanga.
Or a reverse kanga. But someone had taken the most perfect looking log on a piece of toilet paper in their hand, and they put it behind my toilet so sneakily.
Oh man, that's just so nasty.
And it was so big. Like that's not me. Maybe I drink too much milk and fibrous things to have these big thick logs, but Jesus.
I just 100% need to go back on my first comments on this episode about any sort of professionalism in any way, shape or form.
Fuck. If you don't like to laugh, fuck off. It's not the podcast for you.
Okay, so what about a goal that consists around some sort of servicing day or quoting day? Now, for me personally, when I was a solo operator, I love to knock off at about 11 or 12 o'clock on a Friday, and I was very disciplined, even in my younger days.
Yep.
And I would clean all the air filters, fuel up everything, do all the whippersnipper cord. You know, back then when we did, you know, tons of push mowing, we would just change the Honda blades every Friday.
Yep.
Which some people would say now is overkill or a waste, but like we were doing like,
and you had the body corpse, you would have been.
Yeah, so we were doing, and this, it was also dry back then. Like, really dry and dusty.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were doing about 70 lawns a week with the Hondas. And so yeah, I would just do that then and change the oil, and I just knew that every week was a fresh start.
Yep.
Now obviously, you know, I don't recommend, like with this type of goal, I don't recommend like necessarily being like, oh, okay, I'm going to knock off at 2 o'clock and then, you know, take half day Friday. Like I always had a Friday list.
Yeah.
And every day I would knock something else off it, and that would just dictate how much I did on the Friday.
Yeah, nice. That's a good way to look at it. I do have to admit
that's the only way I look at things.
Yeah, the good way. My servicing is it's not irregular, it's just rushed. So like
so but the thing about it is, with this type of goal and idea, like the thought process behind it is that on a Friday you've got something great to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like back then, you know, it was a little bit different, but I can imagine now, you know, I'd put on the tunes with like a little Bluetooth speaker. And, you know, the tools are so much more upgraded and things like that. And, you know, but as a solo operator back then, you know, we just did it. You just had your pan with your spanners and off you went.
It's a bit harder for me because we're all doing zero turns. We all have different hours, so I don't want to be over-serviced. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, I've over-serviced my machines a ton of times. Like, not over-serviced them on purpose, but, you know, they're all my machines are in one place at one time because I've got a bloke that takes one of my rigs home and
Yeah.
one of my machines is at one of my villages, and then one of my machines is always with me. Same with the push mowers. I got 2 at one village, 2 with the boys. I got 2 at home, so I'm fucking.
Oh, and
All my
don't
shit
get-
is spread from arsehole to breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, look, this type of theory is just not, it's just not possible in every business, but I do know at one point when I worked for Shorey, because we were extremely overworked,
Yeah.
we came up with this theory that, because I mean, we worked till 6 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
That on a Friday we would come home at a reasonable time. Someone would handle the equipment, someone would handle the vehicles. You know, just get all the fucking rubbish out.
Yeah.
Just give them a bit of a lift before the next week.
Yep.
And it, look, in a group environment, if you can afford to do it, if you can structure everything the right way, it can be somewhat of a bonding session as well.
And you know what? When it comes to that, like I spoke to you the other day about I was doing the advanced shoot on my turfy, and Archie was trying to help in his own way, and which I'm more than happy to have him down. But I was like, fuck, he's taking all the nuts and bolts, and you were like, why don't you get him his own shit? I was like, fuck, why didn't I think of that? So now, like, my goal is to take him out. He can come and do all my stuff. I'm teaching him sockets, spanners, and he's
Just watch out they don't swallow them.
Fuck yeah, I know.
I always told my girls when they were really little, I was like, do you want to play with all of these nuts and bolts? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, do not put them in your mouth.
Yeah.
You will die straight away.
You will die. And no, like that's actually become one of my goals, is to get him to come and help me. Like, he doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit with me and
Mate, that's what I do that with my kids. I always trick them into doing my work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oi, do you guys want to cut up all these stickers? It'll be so fun. We can put on YouTube and everything.
I bought him a little rake and a little broom, so he comes in, because obviously I do my maintenance stuff. He'll sweep some of the grass and rake some of the leaves out the front.
So even in a group environment, the service day or service period or whatever, if you can work towards it, it can create positive atmosphere within the group.
Kind of fun.
Almost like a toolbox meeting.
Yeah. I'm sure, like Luke Smith, that sort of has that sort of vibe over there.
I don't know,
because they have a workshop, don't they? They have a home base.
I actually believe they do. Yeah, they have a shed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so what about equipment goals? Because, even as little as 5 years ago, this just wasn't a thing. Like, nobody gave a fuck.
It's true, man.
But now, obviously, my business is completely different. But it's like,
you still
one day I want to get a forklift, or one day I want to get this.
Pallet jack, and you've already upgraded all your hand tools to make yourself more efficient. You got your battery riveter and all that sort of shit.
Oh yeah,
your nutset machine.
Just even the small things that I've done, even just redesigning products, have helped us become more efficient. But even all of our packing materials and the way that we've structured it.
And did you sort of set that as a goal, or you just saw that as something that was a necessary thing to do at that stage? Were you working towards, were you like, all right, fucking, in a couple of months, I have to have a little bit of chinga in the pocket to go and get this tool pack?
Look, with the battery riveter, I can't remember how much. They're like $600.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And you can get an air riveter for like maybe 1/6 of that amount or something. And it had just gotten to the point where, like, just having a hose and then just the sound, like, I just wasn't enjoying the process at all.
Plus you were doing, like, I've been to your house a few nights where you'd be like, and
that part of it is all right. It's the sound of the compressor.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I only really moved to the battery riveter like maybe 18 months ago or something. It was either a silent compressor or a battery riveter.
Yeah.
And, because we were phasing out Greenscape Solutions, the air compressor just wasn't as much of a part of it as what it was. Because, we were always blowing out air filters and, doing all sorts of things with the compressor. I've barely looked at it since I moved to the Battery Riveter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
because I just am not in the same field of work.
And in regards to things like zero turns and standers and things like that, I always, one of my goals was I wanted to get out of the semi-commercial machines into a full commercial machine. That was a big goal for me. No matter what size it was, I just wanted out of that. Because after 300 or 400 hours, you can feel the semi-commercial machines. They changed. It's like if you're day in, day out hammering these machines, and they're really only built for people mowing like, maybe 3 or 4 hours a month, then you're like, fucking hell.
I mean, even put it into context of like, so I've moved into a street in the last 6 months. Everyone on one side of the street has an acre, everyone on my side of the street has half an acre. And just about everyone on the street has a John Deere tractor or a Cox tractor.
Yeah.
And they all come out and you can see them steering around their properties and, from a contractor environment, someone like me, you'll hear me say it on the podcast, if you go back and listen, like we've always thought of those mowers like so far beneath us and everything like that. But where these people come out every Saturday or every second Saturday and drive around and then they drive them back into their shed, that's what they're meant for.
Yeah.
And like they see me come out on either the KG or the V-Ride and they're like, whoa, whack.
Yeah, fucking hell.
But when you're mowing 40 acres or when you're doing, like when I just got out of Greenscape Solutions, those machines were getting about 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Because
I was doing the 40, like either me or Russell was doing the 40 on one of those machines.
Yeah.
Equipment goals, when you talk about, people who are, let's say they've got like a 52-inch Raptor. Do they come in?
Let's say
they might be a 54, whatever, I don't know. 50, no, I believe it's 52. Or let's say they got a 52 Liberty and they're starting to now pick up 5 acre properties.
Yeah.
Now, the 52, it's going to cut it.
Yeah.
Literally, right?
Yeah. Nice pun.
But are you going to be able to cut it as efficiently or as comfortably as you probably need to?
Yeah.
And is it going to hold up? Some of those machines will hold up to 1,000 hours or whatever, but so equipment goals, I mean, look, it never used to be a thing.
Yep.
Now you've got the influx of battery equipment, people talking about robot mowers, all sorts of things, products and accessories.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's interesting to sort of look back at where you started. So I was lucky enough to have, like I said at the start, I had a little bit of chinga in my pocket when I first started. And I fucking bought a second-hand Walker. And I don't know why. I could have afforded a fucking commercial mower straight up, but I was still like kind of dipping my toes in. It wasn't one of my first purchases. It was down the track a bit, but it was a fuck up. It was a complete fuck up because
it happens.
Yeah, and it had issue after issue after issue, and it was secondhand. So,
but even if it didn't have any issues, ultimately it probably didn't suit your business model of where you ended up.
No, not at all. Not at all, and neither did my second purchase of a brand new Country Clipper. Now, as much as I did like that machine, it
suited you for what you had it for.
It suited me for what I had it for,
but not what it became.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly right. But
and I heard just this week on Gary Ashton's podcast that one of his bigger fuck ups or mistake that he made was he bought an excavator.
Yes, yeah, I've heard him say that before.
It just didn't end up like he thought it was going to be, and like sometimes you have to take these calculated risks. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But it's great to have all the information. And then you just make the decision,
hindsight's a hell of a thing.
Yeah. What about any sort of manager goals, man? Because I hear all the time You hear it literally everywhere in business. Like, I want to start up a business so that I don't have to go to work or I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And so this manager style goal is one that you really got to watch out for.
Fucking oath, man. So I guess that's where someone who doesn't mind being a subby with their own business, like they're legitimate if they have all their own shit, if they're a legitimate subby, I think they're the kind of people that need each other. These manager people who are fine to go out and just find contracts and then feed them to subbies. I'm not too keen on that.
But what about like...
Or like, do you mean yourself? Like...
Yeah, so it's like, say in your business right now, obviously you don't put your boots on at 6 o'clock in the morning and come home and go on the tools all day and come home at 5. No. You're visiting one site, then you're maybe going to pick up some supplies, then you're going to the next site to meet the other crew.
That's exactly
that style of manager. But and you know, for people who don't have it, they look at it and they think like, yeah, man, that's what I want to be. Like, I don't want to work. I want to just have a business and make all the money. But
to be honest,
mate, it's not cracked up. It's
not all it's cracked up to be.
It's like just not, is it?
So I had the village by myself for 2 weeks. Not last week, not the week before, 2 weeks before that. Anyway, I got up every morning, pulled my boots on, got to work, did my work, looked at it, and I was like, fuck yeah.
All right, I'm going to cut you off there because I talk to you personally.
Yeah.
Almost every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, hey, you travelling, alright? And you're like, man, I just put me fucking tunes on. I just get the hedger going and I just do my shit. I don't have to worry about no one or nothing, and I just go home at 3 o'clock.
And you know what? From my point of view too, I was fucking, you know, people were coming out, they were giving me so much praise. I was like, fuck, you do not get that. Like, normally the staff would get that when they achieve those sort of things. So for me to get people coming out saying you were doing a fucking fantastic job was like something that I haven't had for a while. So it kind of was like,
yeah,
ooh,
like,
just vacuumed it up.
When the tail end of when I was there, I'd like rock up to site on a Thursday and people would be like, oh, Ben's here, Mr. Big Shot. And I'm like, oi man, like, I'm still running the business. Like,
that's exactly right.
And then they'd say things like, oh, next time, could you get the young fella to do this? And I'm like, are you talking about Russell? He's fucking my age.
Now, I legitimately have a young fella there.
Except he is young and holiday.
Yeah, he is. He's so much older.
He is my age, though.
No kids, mate.
No kids, chiseled body.
Yeah,
Rusty one miner, never been finer, smiling at a miner.
Oh, shit.
We can say that here, can't we?
Probably. Who knows? It's our show. No, but that is one thing I found out was... you know, it is bouncing around. Like, as much as I love doing the manager thing, like I love looking after her, and that'll bring me to my next one, which is staff goals, is you're kind of putting out fires. Not so much putting out fires. Like, my boys don't give me many hassles, but you're putting out fires in, like, you know, people are always coming to you and you're like, fuck, I'm not on, like, I don't actually know what's been happening there.
So think about this scenario. BJ calls me the other day. He goes, I got to fucking deal with this. And you send the boys to a new acreage.
Yep.
You take over.
Okay, so I went and quoted this place. It was all good. She accepted the quote and I sent her a map of her house. So sometimes what I do when I feel like a customer's a bit like, how you going, is I map, just Google Earth, then I draw the areas that are going to be mowed, because she wanted us to do some paddocks, but she didn't want around the house done. So what happened when the boys got there, it was only supposed to be like a 3-hour job. So when the boys got there, she said, no, I want the whole thing done. And they didn't call me because I'd spoken to them and said, look, it's all sorted with her, blah, blah, blah. And they had other jobs to get to afterwards, which, you know, it's just a whole fucking flow-on effect. But anyway, she's got them to do this, and it's taken them 5 hours. So there's 2 guys for 5 hours to knock this property back to, like, pristine condition. And they told me, and I was like, what the fuck? What? Like, why didn't you boys ask me or tell me? And they were like, well, she was like, said that you'd sorted it. You said you'd sorted it. I was like, fuck, well, you know, it kind of is what it is. But I'd sent her a map and she's like, no, I don't want this section done. So she was just like, oh, fucking,
and that's
spur of the moment.
That's where this manager process becomes really tough, because it just drains you in a different type of way.
Yeah.
It obviously doesn't drain you physically, but it drains you emotionally and mentally.
And really, it wasn't on me, it wasn't on them, it was more on the customer saying, like, you know, she agreed to what we were going to do. She was happy with the price.
You should have shit in her bird bath.
Oh, yeah, should have. Fucking hell. She's got a dam. I'll just got a fucking empty couple of bags of logs in there. But, yeah, no.
Round up, eh?
Oh, God, fuck yeah. Yeah, but it was pretty frustrating, because the next customer's like, where are the boys? And I'm like, what do you mean? They should have been there like 2 hours ago. So I've rung them and been like, hey, boys, what's happening? They're like, oh.
Hey, boys, what's happening? You're fired.
Yeah. They were like, oh, we're still here. We're just, you know, we're almost finished. I'm like, holy shit, how long have you been there for? And they're like, 5 hours. I'm like, fucking tell her she's going to get shocked when she gets a bill.
Yeah. So,
it's one of those things. But
so back to staffing goals though, like, because we have lots of you know, gardeners and lawnmower contractors that listen to us, but they are not necessarily running the business.
Yeah.
They're just either the right hand man or an employee or whatever the case may be. And even for those listeners, like, it's awesome to have this type of goal structure.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, not everyone is built to be a business owner.
No,
and that is completely okay.
Yeah.
Like, if you, you know, I hate to keep doing it, but you take someone like Rusty, and he's not going to be able to 100% run his own business. He likes structure. He loves his freedom.
Yeah.
That's why he's a great right-hand man.
Yeah.
And there's so many other people out there. There might even be people out there that have owned businesses before.
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
not for me. Yeah.
You know, not for me. I'd like to have a certain amount of responsibility, but not all the responsibility.
Yeah. 100%.
And I do think it's the type of industry that a right-hand man can really get over.
Yeah.
And be successful, because it's not the type of industry, like, there's just not enough money in it for everyone.
No.
I'm talking about in a group environment.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you go and work for a small business owner, it would be very rare to have 3 people be the manager.
Yeah.
Or, like, you're talking about a huge...
Yeah, it'd have to be
That's
pretty
already
big, like
like
green options and shit like
that's
that.
already like a huge outfit.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a small business, and you can do the right thing and take a certain amount of responsibility off the business owner, you can make great money.
Yeah.
And have a really great balance.
Big time.
So
yeah, my boys, the thing with my boys is I always want them to feel appreciated. So, like, I'll roll up, go and see them, fucking buy them lunch and shit like that. Like,
give them a backhand tickler.
Yeah, give them fucking whatever they need to get through the day.
See, Russell, like, I was like the same thing. Like, I'm gonna pass Russell today, and he just would, like, bash me.
Yeah.
And threaten me.
Yeah.
Threaten to, like, sue me and
violence.
stuff. Oh, I'm gonna tell someone about this.
Call HR.
And I was like,
we'll sticky HR.
And I'd be like, don't kiss and tell, Russell. Here I come.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. Like, when I first take on these guys, I want to know what they want out of working for me, and, you know, first is always money. Obviously, that's just a fucking, you know, an obvious one. But
Who the hell does it for free?
that's exactly right. So, you know, some of them just want like a full-time job. They like the industry and they want to get out from what they were doing. They were being used and abused in the past. They just don't want the same things that they've had. So they come to me, and, you know, I want to make sure that they feel like they're part of the crew. I know we were speaking earlier about, like, not being friends with your staff, but I think more I kind of am, like, leaning towards they're a bit more like family. Like, I can tell them to like, you know, sort them out, but I don't have to feel bad.
But Will's black, so how is he a part of your family?
Well, apparently, who knows, mate, you know. But it's so weird because my
He's got white parents, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, so there you go.
adopted,
So it is possible.
Yeah.
You are his dad.
Oh
You
my-
are his dad.
Oh my god! But my biological dad, who I never knew, apparently was like found out. You know, I was coming, and he's like giving my mum $1,000 and like fucked off to Papua New Guinea to have a few extra kids.
Wow.
That's what I've been told, man. I don't know. I know I've got 3 half brothers and sisters that live around here.
I thought you were going to say, I know I've got 3 dads.
Who knows, man?
Oh,
Fuck.
boy.
But no, that's the thing. Like, I really
Sidebars are easy to come by.
so easy. I love my staff. They all do right by me. You know, I want to do right by them. So
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was employed by Shorey, even this is, mate, I was like 18 back then. I just remember looking around and like, I remember fully thinking like, I'm going to fucking take over this business, eh? You know, like in terms of, I could just see that
you had the hunger.
Well,
where a lot of people probably wouldn't.
Look, I had, my dad had started up the business for me, and like it wasn't, you know, I did it from 16 to the age of 18, and you know, it was just really hard to stay focused being that young in a business environment, and there was all sorts of new things happening like GST and bank transfers and
That's fucking going back.
you know, all of that. Yeah, so all of that stuff was happening back then.
Yeah.
You know, like before that it was either cash or check. And so
Fuck, I haven't seen a check for a long time.
if someone gave me a check right now, I'd be fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
I had a client that used to pay by check only up until like 3 years ago.
Yeah, same.
And I was like, hey, can you not be so whack and just transfer it?
I think it was actually probably about 4 or 5 years ago my last check came through, and it was for a big job too, so it wasn't as bad, but yeah, fuck that. It's still something that just sat in my house for so long, just waiting to be cashed.
I used to just bring him home and be like, Vicky, do something.
Yeah, help me now.
So no, but yeah, you know, back then when all of that was happening, I obviously went and worked for him, and I just saw an opportunity to take over and I mean take over physically, like, you know, and even get some systems in place.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a great thing. Like we built it up, and I ended up buying that part of his business and never really looked back.
Yeah.
So there's
That's a good. We might have to do an episode on systems that we've put in place and ones that have been successful and ones that have failed. Maybe.
yeah, maybe. I think we'll worry about that next week. I kind of had enough for now.
Yeah. Right.
What do you reckon?
Yeah. Fucking, I'm hot as
All right.
fuck. It is hot.
So
today.
what is it time to do?
Oh, I think it's time to put bow on it, eh?
There.
Yeah. Oh, fucking, you're not being professional. Shushies.
All right. Until next week and every other week, unless we get COVID. I am at Catch Pro, and he's at TBL, and we're out of time. Thanks for listening.
Peace.